Greetings and salutations from the southern tropics of Michigan. I'm Jordan the IT guy, and today let's chat about the two major ways that you can manipulate and put strings back together after you've cut them apart. Now, when it comes to PowerShell, or really any programming language at all, there are two predefined methodologies that you'll hear mentioned. The first is string concatenation, and the second is string interpolation. Now, these are two very separate ideas, and in how PowerShell works, from both a performance and methodology perspective, it might impact which one you want to use in different types of scenarios. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Now, there are two different ways again to merge together strings. The first one I'm going to showcase is the one you're probably the most familiar with, and that's called string concatenation. If we take a string, something like string 1 equals hello, and then we take something like string 2 equals world, we can do string 1 plus string 2. What this does is says, take this string and add it to this other string. Put them together, essentially, and produce an output from it. So if I just highlight those and hit F8, you'll see that it runs string 1 to make that a string of hello, string 2 to make that a string of world. Put them together, and you get mashed up hello world down here. Now, that's not very pretty. We don't have our space. We don't have our anything like that. So in order to make this maybe look the way we would want it to look, if we were leveraging this as a way to communicate with a user, we might do something like string 1 plus an empty string plus string 2. Now, this looks a little goofy if we run this. You'll see string 2 plus, but it does work, right? And we could, in fact, store this output in another variable. And this would then give us, of course, string 3, which is hello world. Now, again, this is a little goofy, it's a little odd, it's a little weird, but it does work for what we need to do. But the important thing to do here is because we're running a math function of addition, is it does have to do some work behind the scenes to figure out what are the types and what implicit conversions I need to do. Now, it doesn't matter what method, whether it's interpolation or concatenation, it is going to need to do those checks, but for sure it's going to have to do them in this case. Let's take a look at string interpolation. The concept of string interpolation, we're going to use the exact same strings, where we have our string 1 and our string 2. Now, except for one big difference. In the process of doing this, we're going to do what's something called string expansion, or providing the result of in order to generate a third string. What we can do is if we wrap this whole thing in quotes and then hit run, you'll notice that it returns a string. Now, there's an important key subtle difference here. Because these things here happen to be strings right off the bat, it's fine, it was able to just return that result. In some scenarios, you may have to order PowerShell to do a expansion inside of it, kind of like algebra if you've ever seen that before. And in that case, you might commonly see something that looks like this inside of a line of text. Now, what this will do is that this will say, hey, run the contents of string 1 and return its result, and the string is a temporary object here, and then say to the, and then also run this content here and produces a string. And then produce this whole thing together into a string. So if I just run that real quick, and we'll see that it produces hello to the world. Now notice since I didn't put the $sign here, it just went ahead and included those parentheses, because it's perfectly happy to do so with the type of data that's in that variable. But if I put a $sign in front of it, it goes ahead and properly does the expansion to expand the content. This might be useful if you had something where maybe string 2 was actually equal to 3. And maybe what you want to do here, so now what that means is that if we do string 2.getType, we would see that this is in fact a number. Now, by default, PowerShell will understand how to handle this. It's like, oh, hey, hello to the 3. It knows how to convert that to a string. However, there are certain scenarios where it may not understand that, and it may not be able to simply do an implicit conversion for you, in which case you may want to convert it internally in here ahead of time to ensure that your value is properly translated into a string. I hope this was helpful and helps you understand the concepts of string concatenation and string interpolation. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to talking with you next time.